Well, welcome back to discussions here with me and Danny. It's the Church Guy and the Addict. And this series we're calling Up Close and Personal. So I'm Don and I'm the Church Guy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danny, and I'm the addict, an alcoholic.
There you go. So Danny, we've got some questions that started coming in since we went live on YouTube. And so we wanted to, you and I had talked about this the other day, that we want to answer a couple of the questions. So we're going to try one of the questions this morning. And it's a question to the addict. So I'm pretty well going to have to give it to you. It's from a person named Andrew. And sort of the question is, I'll read the question to you and then you can dissect it, because there's probably three questions in this one question.
Okay.
He says, what is your story? How can I help you recover and stay clean? So he's not talking about you, he's talking about the alcoholic or the addict.
Right.
How do I know if you have relapsed? And how can I best help you if you fall off the wagon?
Okay.
So to start the question, it says, what is your story? I think maybe the question there is it important for the church guy to know the person's story? How important is that in the relationship, or in the, as they begin to, enter into a relationship?
Well, first of all, I can't stress enough about meetings. And in meetings, you normally would find a sponsor, and the sponsor will help guide you. I think everybody's story in the end is the same. They're addicted to drugs and or alcohol, and the minute that they consume any of the above, the phenomenal craving definitely kicks in. And which is, you could take a man who's 25 years sober, give him a one mouthful of alcohol or drugs, whatever he's into, and it just opens up that Pandora's box, and all he or she thinks about is having another drink or another drug. So you're never safe from this.
So you're saying every addict and alcoholic story is the same, that they can't have one drink?
No, because it just opens up this phenomenal craving, and it's the only way I can word it is, if you look at this scope, like it talks about it here in the doctor's opinion. If you just give me a minute, I could read it to you. But either way, my point is in the end of all of this is abstinence. It has to be, in the end, number one.
What's the doctor's opinion? What are you talking about?
Well, this is in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it talks about 5 different types of drinkers, and
5 types of drinkers.
5 types of drinkers, and so it talks about the classification of alcoholics seems most difficult, and in much detail, it is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We're all familiar with this type. There are also going to be those who go on the wagon for keeps. They are over remorseful and make many restitutions, but never a decision. There is a type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot drink. He plans various ways of drinking. He changes his brand or his environment. There's the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger. There's the manic depressive type, who is perhaps the least understood of his friends, but about whom a whole chapter could be written. And then there are types entirely normal in every respect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, friendly people. All of these and many other have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenal craving. And the only relief we suggest is entire abstinence. And that comes from the doctor's opinion. This is Dr. Silkworth, who wrote this, and book has been written in 1935, and the first 164 pages of this book have not changed. The only thing that's changed in this book are the stories in the back of the book.
So this is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is medical opinion.
His medical opinion, yes.
So this is probably a big question, Danny, because people always think, like, I don't know, from your point of view, after 16 years of sobriety, do you think you could have one beer?
I know I can't.
You know you can't.
I know I can't. It would open up, as I read there, the phenomenon of craving. And they say alcohol and or drugs is cunning, baffling, and powerful. So let's say, for instance, I was able to have one beer for a year, every night after work, one beer. So then my mind says, see, you could do this. You can handle this. But eventually, I'm going to drink the way I drank before. Because, like I said, it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And you have to remember, addiction is the only disease that tells us that we're okay. That I can drink or I can drug. I'm okay now. It's been X amount of time. I haven't had whatever. Whereas if you had cancer, anybody who had cancer or what have you knows they're sick. They're not going to say, well, I'm okay now, you know what I mean? And so, the saying is, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. And that's the truth. But you don't have to be a practicing alcoholic. You can be a sober alcoholic,
Well, so you imagine, though, after being clean and sober for so long, that your mind must play games with you where you think, why can't I have a social drink? And I don't know how you stay focused on knowing that you just can't do that.
Well, it's like anything. If you put your hand on the flame and you're going to get burned, then I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if I play the tape to the end, I'm going to get burned. And I don't want to get burned. I'm tired of getting burned. I've lost everything because of drugs and alcohol. Yeah. And because today I'm in recovery, and I live in recovery. And let's face it, I don't need a liquidy substance or a powder or whatever to enhance my life today. I have so many blessings in my life today that no drink or drug could give me the euphoria that I have today of friendship, love, respect from my friends, respect from my family. And let's face it, there's still some people in my life that don't want anything to do with me still to this day, even though, next month, by the grace of God, if I can make it, I'll celebrate 17 years, and they don't want nothing to do with me. So, and that's okay.
Are those people that don't know you very well, Danny, or who would those people be?
The one I'm thinking about is very close to me, and I'd rather not talk about it for now. It's not that I don't want to share it. It's just she might watch this video one day and feel that I'm tossing salt into the wound, if you will. But it's someone very close to me, and it's hurtful, but it's something that I have to accept in my life, and not everybody can forgive. And if we talk about forgiveness, forgiveness is more for the person, the victim, if you will, right?
Yeah.
That way that the person can't, and it was just something that hopefully in time God will move her to recognize that, unfortunately I did what I had to do, because I like a donkey following a carrot. I did what I had to do to fill that addiction up. You know what I mean? To do what I had to do to survive. But that's for another day, another time. And,
and actually, forgiveness is probably a good topic that we should talk about down the road too. Getting back to this question from Andrew. So what is your story? So just basically everybody's story is the same. And if you're dealing with an addict or an alcoholic, um, they can't have one drink. And this person asks, how can I help you recover and stay clean?
Well, with anything in life, it's always nice if you have a good support system, and once again, I believe that the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, or NA, or whatever you belong to, um, is a wonderful thing. But to have good friends as well, like if you surround yourself with positive people and uplifting people, your life is different. But if you surround yourself with negative people, and obviously you're going to have negative thoughts and negative outcomes, and it's a proven fact that if you're stressed and worried and in negative environments or whatever, it's so bad for your health.
Yeah.
So to be around people that uplifting and encouraging,
But Danny, this question is, how can I help you recover and stay clean?
Well, really, once again, that's I love church people, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like going to the dentist when your car's broken, you know. When you need your car repaired, you got to bring it to the one who knows how to repair it, and that's a mechanic. And in the rooms of AA or NA or CA, whatever, those are the mechanics of recovery, because they can spot uh, unwellness or they say in the big book that resentment is the number one offender.
Mm.
So that means what does the person struggling have to do to uh, change that resentment, if you will, you know what I mean, to make it not a resentment.
So Danny, are you saying that this person who's asking the question is saying, how can I help you recover and stay clean? Are you saying that they can't help you?
Well, other than being supportive and consoling and what have you, they can. But once again, it's the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's going to a fellowship that understands this disease and
Mm.
understands the answers. Like, I mean, let's face it, there are so many people out there right now, and hopefully they're watching this, and maybe, just maybe, we can give them a little tinge of hope. But like the world, and I understand this because I was there. The world is such a dark place when you're living with the glasses of addiction.
Mm.
Even without the glasses of addiction, what's going on today in the world is a very awful thing. But the glasses of recovery can give people hope, because when you're living in the world of being addicted to fill in the blank, there's so much unforgiveness on your own behalf. There's so many wrongs that the person has done, not only to themselves but family members, and just not being there for family. The times where you might promise your daughter you're going to be there at her birthday party and you're a no-show. It's things like that where you need something to drown that pain in your heart, because once again you let down your family member, or you let down somebody who had faith in you, who had trust in you that you were going to do well. And the other question was, how would you know if the person picked up again? Well,
Yeah.
it's very evident. If the person was at work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, all the time, was there for 3-4 years, never missed any time. And then all of a sudden, he's not there Monday, and then he's not there Fridays. And then he can't really look you in the eye, and he's all fidgety. And, oh, by the way, I'm a little short. Can you loan me some money? Blah, 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 blah. And it's very evident. And you'll see it just like you could see a banana that's turned black, if you will. It's not ripe anymore.
Right.
So it's very easy to see.
So I just want to dig a little deeper on this because it's a question I think that is, from my perspective as a church guy, I would like this is asked by somebody who sent us the question, but I relate to the question because it's as church people, we're always looking to help someone.
Right.
There's this desire in us, there's this need, there's, we feel that that's our mission to help people. So he's asking the question, how can I help you recover and stay clean? So
Right.
maybe the answer is there's nothing that you can do. It's the alcoholic or the addict that has to take the initiative.
Mm.
And then you have to provide other resources, or you have to be the support person, be there for them, be the encourager. But there's really nothing you can do to help.
Right. And may I just interrupt for 1 second? Like you said, what can the church guy do? Well, you've been to a couple of my celebrations. When I celebrate whatever amount of, that's the support I'm talking about, you know? So even though you're not a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but to look over and see, oh my God, there's Don and his beautiful wife, and they're here. It sends goosebumps. I got goosebumps just talking about it. But when I see you at my celebration, it means the world, you know?
Yeah.
It means the world. So it just, that's what I mean by supportive. You know what I mean? Like it for those who are not in recovery, it's a very lonely world. You know, I have a friend of mine, G, that he's in this mire is the only word I can use of addiction, and the world is a very dark place, as I said, and but he knows that whenever he calls me, that I understand his pain, and I can only give him love, and but I do tell him what he needs to do, and it's not just putting the plug in the jug and don't worry about it. Life's going to be beautiful because you're clean and sober. Lots of bad things happen when you're clean and sober. You lose people you love. Because you're clean and sober doesn't mean you don't get a flat tire on the way to work, or your car breaks down or whatever, or you got a leak in your roof or whatever. Like, things happen in life, but you don't have to pick up a drink or a drug because it's not going to make anything better. If anything, it's going to make everything worse.
Yeah. I wonder, Danny, if it's fair to say that maybe the church guy should kind of get over himself a little bit. Like I'm thinking of myself. Why do I think I'm coming in as the hero of the story? Why can't I just do like Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself? Why is that so hard? It's almost like I'm trying to get something in return. Well, I'm going to help this guy, but then he's going to recover me, and I'll be able to tell people, how great a job I did with this guy. Instead of just loving people and like supporting them, being there for as they celebrate life, doing life with them. Isn't that probably the best way you could help somebody?
Exactly. You nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
So that's the confession of a church guy that I think check our motivations.
Mm.
I have to do that myself.
And
Awesome.
and it's not like this whole thing that we're doing here is not about Don, and it's not about Danny. It's about doing God's work. It's like, how can we serve those who are in need, and if I sober somebody up tomorrow, it's not Danny who sobered them up, it's God.
Yeah,
I was just the tool that he needed, or she needed, because there's lots of women in addiction as well. And there's many women groups that form up today, which is awesome, because in the days of old, when you read this big book, a lot of it talks about he, and as I read, it was all about men. But there's a lot of women as well, but because the book is so old, and it was written in 35, that if the woman was the alcoholic, it wasn't really talked about, if you will, because he was the mother and supposed to be the responsible one.
That's interesting. Well, we're out of time,
Okay.
Danny, once again, but it's interesting. We've been getting people sending us questions. We have other questions that have come in as well that we need to make time for. And so just for those listening, if you have any questions, send them to the church guy in the attic at gmail.com. Either to the church for the church guy, questions for the church guy, or questions for the attic, and we'll do our best to answer them. So yeah, thanks for answering this one today, Danny. That was great.
And thank you too, Don, and God bless.
Okay, God bless you too, Danny.
Peace.
Nice.